Hello everyone, welcome to Ajiro Tech. Ajiro Tech. In this video, we're going to be looking at the Cambridge IGCSE ICT, which means Information and Communication Technology, the course code 0417. And we're looking at variant 12. This is paper 1 theory, and we're looking at October-November 2024. And of course, the duration of this paper is 1 hour 30 minutes, and we're going to get right to it. So I'll be a diligent student by writing my name, okay, and my center number is going to be what I've always used in this video. My candidate number still remains the same, so it's going to change the next one. Yeah. Instructions are very important, so please go through all the instructions, okay? Total mark for this paper is 80, and let's get right to it. I think I can do this a bit, yeah. State two methods that software producers use to enforce software copyright legislation. So this is taking us to, permit me to do this, chapter 9, audiences. And this topic is really important because, and I want to explain this really so that we can understand the concept of this. Because when we talk about audiences, right, we're simply saying that when we are planning and creating ICT solutions, we need to look at the audience that is going to be part of it. But we're going to talk about for software producers. So we're just going to go straight to it to just focus on what it is. So how do they enforce software copyright legislation? So it's important to understand that softwares are protected by the copyright laws, and is the same as that of music, CDs, and etc. etc. Right. So one way we can do that is we have various ways, and that simply means we can use um, product keys and other ways to do that. And this is the illegal. When we talk about software piracy, we see this as the illegal um, copying of software. I'm probably just going to write this here because I really want us to learn something today. So we'll look at software piracy. We see this as the illegal copying of software. Okay, and this is now becoming a big issue, okay, among software companies, and this is why there's a need to stop this illegal copying from being distributed or sold. And that's why we are now looking at the methods that we can protect it, right? Either by agreeing or other ways to do that. So let's talk about those methods here. So the first one is the product key, like I said. The product key. And when we look at the product key, it is a string of letters and numbers, and is a unique reference number, okay, which is supplied with the original copy of the software. Okay, so this is very important. The next one is hologram. So we have the hologram to identify legitimate. copies. Now let me explain what this is real quick. So when we talk about the holograms, right? Um, if you're being supplied with a hard copy um, of any original software, it comes with kind of like a sticker, right? Informing the purchaser that it is illegal to make copies of the software, right? So you see this sticker to show the authenticity of that software. Okay, so we have other ones, and I'll probably just put that here in our notes. So let's look at others. Okay, so we have the licensing agreement. And when we talk about the licensing agreement, we're simply saying that the users will be asked to click on yes, I agree, or okay, right, to ensure that they understand the software they're using and that they need to uphold to the terms and condition. Okay, so again, you could actually put serial numbers. It could be serial numbers as well. We'll put it here, serial numbers. Okay, serial numbers. Okay, so this is very important. Okay, a head teacher is sending out emails to her staff. State what is meant by an email group. Now, when we talk about email groups, so let's look at this. You see this in chapter 10. Communications. That's why you see that. Communications. We talk about email groups. They are used for a numbers of purposes. That is what they're used for, number of purposes. And one of them is easier to send out multiple emails if the addresses are all grouped together under a single name. See that now, okay? The user only needs to use that single name in the toolbox. Okay, so you know in an email we have the from to, right? And it could be CC or BCC. Okay, and then we have subject. Okay, so it happens in the to section. Okay, companies and organizations can group people together for marketing purposes. Okay, so it could be according to age, hobbies, favorite music. Spammers as well can create groups by buying addresses of people from certain companies or from softwares that reads address books. Okay, on computers, companies can use email group to set up meetings. Okay, to ensure that everybody is always invited to attend. Okay, so when we talk about what is meant with all what has been said, we see that what is meant by an email group is the fact that it is a list. Probably I'll put this here. A list of contacts to send the same email to a number of people. Okay. State what is meant by carbon copy. We talked about the tool section that has a CC and BCC. So we see this as other email operations. That's what we see it as what? Other what? Email what? Operations. So this right here is seen as other email operations. And here we can be able to, we have the forward, right? If you want to add this here, we have the forward and we have the attachment. Okay, so we have the attachment. So this is important. Okay, so let's see what is meant by carbon copy. So when we talk about carbon copies, right, it simply means that for carbon copy, everyone can be able to see who this email is being sent to. A copy is also sent to other recipients. Okay, can be seen by all by all recipients. But when it comes to a BCC, which is a blind carbon copy. That's what it means. Okay, a blind carbon copy. It simply means that it is invisible to everyone receiving the email, apart from what the BCC what recipient. So it is visible, but all recipients in the CC list can be seen by other what recipients. Okay, so this is important. So when we talk about the carbon copy, we're simply saying that copy of email sent to other recipients at the same time is sent, so all recipients in the list can see who received the email. Okay, now let's look at the next one. State what is meant by an address book. Okay, so when we talk about an address book, essentially, we're simply saying that from the word address and then a book, it stores a list of email addresses. That's just what we mean. It stores the list of email addresses, because when you are putting all of them in a CC or with an email group, you probably have an understanding of that. In an email group, you see that they all store, right? All of them is stored in an address book, and that is why it's easier for you to be able to use the group name to be able to send an email to just one email in the tool section, and everybody in that address book is going to receive it. So that's why it's so easy to send out multiple emails if they're all grouped together. So it stores 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 list of email addresses. State what is meant by blind carbon copy. Okay, so it simply means that it is also a copy of email sent to other recipients at the same time without recipient knowing. You can also say this, put this in others. Okay, it is invisible to everyone receiving the email. Okay, hope we're having a good time. All right, let's talk about question 3. A computer uses a number of different generic file formats. Describe each of the following generic file format. And now you see this in chapter 11. File management. So we have the file formats here. We have PDF. The PDF falls under the types of images. Let's not forget the types of images. And this is how many marks? This is 2 marks. So the first thing you can do for yourself, right, is to first of all talk about what it means. So that simply means, this means portable document format. It simply means that it can be read by most computers. Okay, it can be read from most computers. If you want to add others, we can say for others, it is hard to edit because it can be used to protect the file from change. Okay, I think we've drilled in on that a bit. Let's talk about the next one. RTF. So the RTF is rich text format. Rich text format. Okay, and also about the rich text format is it is a file type that saves some of the formatting within the text. Okay, let's look at the next one. CSS. The first thing we look at in CSS is the full name. They're all of them are all, you see them in file management chapter 11. Okay, so you all see them there. Okay, So let's look at this, shall we? Okay. So this means cascading style sheet. Okay. And this can be attached to one or more web pages. That's what the CSS is. Yes. So we'll see them as an attached or external um star sheet. Okay. So in for others, we can say others. We can say it defines how the web page the web pages look. And this is something I've covered extensively on this YouTube channel. I've talked about, there are tons of episodes on website authoring. I've talked about it. It's right there on the YouTube channel. Go look at it. I think I've done from episode 1 to episode 11. I think it's yet to episode 11 on how you can understand website authoring. I mean, that's going to be a game changer for you. Okay, it's also part of the presentation layer. Okay, so we've covered that a bit. Hope we're having a great time. Yeah. And if you have not subscribed to this YouTube channel, I don't know what you are waiting for. So, see, the best thing you can do for me is to subscribe to this YouTube channel, because trust me, that is the best thing you can do for me. Subscribe to it so that people can see this video, and please share it. Okay, share this video um, to your friends, right, to your classmates, because that's the best gift you can actually give to them, right? That's the best gift. Question 4: if desktop computer uses both input and output device, compare input and output. Now in this case, compare is seen as similarities and differences. They said your answer should include similarities and differences. So this is, now we're talking about input and output device. You're wondering chapter 2. No, you will see this here in chapter 1. Do this. See this in chapter 1. Okay. So which is types and components of computer systems. So let's talk about similarities. I like talking about similarities first, right? What's similar, right? Right, so let's do that. Similarities. So let's look at the similarities here, right? Both of them are being, now let's do this. Let's try to understand what each of them really means, because again, that would really help us in this concept of um, putting similarities and putting differences. It would give us an understanding between how we can be able to put them into perspective. So when we talk about the input devices, the first thing you need to take note of is that they are hardware devices that allows, okay, let me just write this. So for our notes, can I do this here? So let me just permit me to do this, please. Again, this is me teaching you because I love to teach you guys. You guys are so awesome. All right, so input device, let's establish this, is any hardware device that allows a user to enter data or instruction into a computer directly. Why the output device? Okay, so I'll probably use a different color. Just permit me, right? So for the output device is any hardware hardware device that takes the output data from a computer and puts it into a human readable format. Okay, or uses it to control, let's use that, to control another device. So another device. So that is it. Okay, for our notes. Okay, so now we've stretched this a bit, and it's four marks really. So two similarities, two differences. I think that makes that makes that makes more sense. Or three or one, but you must have both of them to get a full mark. So let's talk about that. So both. Where's my blue pen? Okay, so both are hardware devices. Can we establish that? Yes, both are attached to a computer. I mean, we've looked at the input, and they are your keyboard, um, a scanner, you know, your your touchpad, right? We've looked at them, and your output devices are your monitor, your speakers. We know that, right? So another one is both of them communicate with both the user and the computer. Okay, both the user and the computer. Let's talk about um, I've talked about three already. So let's talk about differences. And it's always important to always split this. It helps you a lot to always split this. So let me do that quickly. Okay, so I think I can do this here. Differences. So we can see that an input device sends data to a computer. Why an output device receives data from the computer. Okay. Another one we can see here is that an input devices are controlled by the user. Why an output device why the output device are controlled by the computer. So the input is controlled by the user, and why the output is controlled um, by the computer. I think it makes more sense. So I think with this we've we've talked about it again, because again this is 1, 2, 3, 4. I think I've stretched it out, but I'm putting it together so they will probably mark it differently. Okay, they'll probably mark it differently. So that's one way to do that. Okay, let's look at the B part of question 4. State 3 input devices that can be used with a desktop computer. So again, this is still chapter 1. Okay, as it has been our culture here in Ajiro Tech, we always tell you the chapter each question is coming from. That's how good we are. We tell you each chapter because we want you to learn. We want you to produce that amazing result. And I want to use this point to say just a big shout out to all the students in Ajiro Tech Tutoring that enrolled into the Ajiro Tech Tutoring, and if you'll be seeing the ads right now in Ajiro Tech Tutoring. We had students that made fantastic results. I think we had students who registered. I checked it with the sales team. I think we currently had about 16 students who registered in preparation for the October November 2024, and we have students who had A star to a B. Okay, as of the time of this recording, we have students who had A star to a B, and that's what the Agile Tech Tutoring can do. We have students who just is 1 month in a few weeks, and we're able to produce that massive result. People who have been part of us, who have been part of this journey, they made A stars, they made A. One of the students in um in Asia, she sent a message, said, Mr. Joe, thank you so much. Because with your YouTube channel, with your assistance, and even if you're not part of the Geo Tech Tutoring service, I still render assistance. I said, with your assistance, I know we couldn't pay this and this, financial issues, but you know what? You've been there with me, and I made an A-star. So thank you. So thank you. So we are always here around the clock, ready to support every follower of Agile Tech. And that's how much we value you when it comes to Agile Tech. We don't take you for granted. We don't joke with you, because your progress is our promote. Your progress is our promote. Your success is our success. How you succeed is how we succeed. So that's why we are very core. We're very keen to ensure that what we give you is nothing short but the best. Okay. A lot, and you're like, okay, do you have a private tuition? Don't you have? Do you have? And yes, Agile Tech do have a private tuition. So by my right, you can see that we have for the EdXL and Cambridge IGCSE, and yes, we do have for all subjects. Okay, all subjects. Okay, the popular ones that's always been in demand is mathematics, English language as a second language. Okay, we have physics, we have biology, we have chemistry, and we have um, you know the flagship, which is ICT, just here and there. We also have business studies. So if you're interested for a private tuition, um, I think all you have to do is send an email to the sales team at ajirotech@gmail.com, and they would reply to you, talk about your time zone, talk about, and the fees really quite affordable. Really, it's really quite affordable. It's when you look at it across other tutoring service, I think this is the one that's quite affordable, and you get the very best of service. We also have for the E levels as well, um, and also for the edXL. So we have for the Cambridge E levels and edXL E levels. Okay, and we have also across the subject mathematics, which is usually the hot cake when it comes to E level, mathematics and chemistry, and then biology. These are usually one of the ones we have in demand always, all the time. Even physics, for E level. So all you have to do, if you're watching this right now and you are interested for a private tuition, then you can do yourself a solid, okay, and send an email to the sales team at agile@gmail.com, and they'll reply to you. And the good news about this is, what I've discussed with the sales team is, we've tried as much as possible to see how we can subsidize the amount according to countries, so it doesn't really look very, very heavy. Okay, so so this is really important. Yes, we do charge in pounds, but again, we try to be as much as possible considerate to your countries, and we don't just skyrocket the price. No, because at the end of the day, we know how it feels, and we really want you to actually get the best of service, and again, be able to afford it from the comfort of your home. So again, Ajiro Tech private tuition is currently ongoing. You can enroll yourself for the IGCSE, and then for the E levels. Again, for the IGCSEs, these are the subjects, and for the E levels, these are also the subjects. So again, what are you waiting for? Just send an email to the system. If you're an IGCSE student preparing for IGCSE, if you're watching this in 2024, 5, watching this in 2026, watching this in 2027, we're currently ongoing, and this is actually a good time for you to actually explore, and then get it tailored to your own needs. So trust me, you don't want to miss out. Okay, so let's go back to the lesson. I just needed to talk about that. So we know that when it comes to desktop computers, and I would use this opportunity to talk about it. So when it comes to desktop computers, permit me to teach you a little bit about desktop computers. Is that fine? Is that fine by you? Okay. All right. Let's go. So when we talk about desktop computers, okay, when we talk about desktop computers, okay, desktop computers, it refers to a general purpose computer that is made up of separate components. Be careful not to write in the margin. Okay, separate component of separate components such as monitor, keyboard, mouse, okay, and processor unit. Okay, and this means that they are not very portable. So let's talk about the input unit. Of course, we know that these input units are used to send data to the computer. This allows the user to be able to enter data or send data to the computer. So let's look at those input devices real quick. So with a desktop, I think I've said some, right? So yeah, give you a little bit of a hint here. So we have keyboard. Okay. So we have the microphone. We have the light pen. Can you permit me to talk about others? Is that fine? So others, thank you. We have scanner. We have camera. Okay, now pause this video and tell me others that I have not mentioned. Let me know in the comment section. Just pause it and just tell me in the comment section. I promise you, I'm going to reply. Okay, so 5, 4. Okay, just go to the comment section. Just tell me 3, 2, 1. Okay, so all right, so we have sensor. Yes, and what? Okay, mouse. I get you. Okay, it's fine. It's fine. I'll put them in. Okay, good, good. Okay. Now, state 3 output devices that can be used with a desktop computer. Um, this is also chapter 1. Okay, types and component of computer system. So let's look at this. So we have monitor. Okay, we have printer. We have speaker. And then we have others. Let's talk about others, right? So for others, okay, let's play the game again. Okay, so give me the ones I've not mentioned. Okay, I'm going to count down to 1 and 5, right? So 5, go in the comment section and type it. Which one is output devices that can be used with the desktop computers that I've not mentioned? Okay, so let's go 5, 4, type it in the comment section. 3, 2, and 1. Okay, so let's go. All right, so I have for others, I have the actuator. Okay, multimedia, projector. Okay, we have the plotter, the graph plotter. Okay, so I think we've stretched that thing. Okay, all right. Okay, all right. Question 5. A computer contains internal memory and backend storage. Both RAM and ROM are examples of internal memory. Explain the difference between the RAM and the ROM. So let's do that real quick. So again, this is chapter. Okay, let's. I always do a thing. So this is chapter 1. Okay, so types and components of computer system. There's an S. So let's talk about the difference between both of them. Now, can I explain? Please, can I explain? All right, thank you. So we have the ROM, right? So the ROM means random access memory. Why the RAM means, sorry, the ROM means read only memory. Sorry, read only memory, and the RAM means random access memory. Okay, so for the ROM, it is used to store information that needs to be permanent. Okay, let me just probably put this here. The ROM, okay, used to store information that needs to be permanent. Okay, so what are those things that needs to be permanent, right? It contains configuration, data. It contains that. Okay, it contains configuration what data. Why the RAM, which is the random access memory, temporary stores data when running application. Okay, so when running application, I just need to just put that in so we can have an understanding of what we are doing today. Okay, so now we know this. Let's put this into a difference. Now, it's worth noting that when it comes to the ROM, right, it contains the read-only memory contains the coding known as the boot file. Okay, known as what? The boot file. Okay, so this code would tell the computer what to do when it first starts up, right? And if you're wondering what I'm talking about the BIOS, which means basic input and output what? System. So when the computer is turned on, what happens? The BIOS carries out what we call a hardware check. Okay, to find out, okay, to find out if all devices are present and to check if they are functional. Then it loads, okay, the operating system. It loads the operating system into the RAM. It's also important to note that the BIOS stores the date, time, system configuration in a non-volatile chip, and it is called the complementary metal oxide semiconductor. Okay, so all right, that's too much teaching, right? But we can't have enough of Ajiro Tech, really. We can't have enough of Ajiro ND because he needs to teach you, and you need to learn, and you need to pass. Important things there, don't we? Having important things there. Okay, so let's talk about the difference. So differences between them. So let's start with um how many marks is this? 4 marks. Okay. So let's start with I think I can start with the ROM. I think I can just give the space there. So ROM, right? is non-volatile memory device. Okay. Why? That's 2 marks. The RAM is volatile memory. Okay. The next one, ROM. Since I've said ROM, I'll just publish ROM is permanent memory device. Why RAM is temporary memory. I think I can just use the memory. I don't want to put memory device, but it's memory device, but it's still fine, right? Then the next one is, I know it's 4 marks, but I just want to put them all so we can learn. ROM is read only. Data stored cannot be altered. Why RAM can be written to and read from. Okay, so we can also see that ROM used to store BIOS and other data needed at startup. While RAM can be increased in size to improve operational speed of a computer. Five B. Describe the characteristics of backend storage. The characteristics of backend storage. So we still have this as chapter 1. Okay, we still have this as chapter 1. Now, when we talk about the backend storage, let's talk about backend storage. So talk about backend storage. It's important for us to understand that it is used to store large amount of data. And it takes the form of the internal hard disk, which is HDD or solid state drive, which is SSD. So this is very important. So they store large amount of data, and it takes the form of the internal or the solid state drive. So this is very important to note. So let's talk about the characteristics. Let's talk about the characteristics. So the first thing we need to understand when it comes to backing storage, they are actually non-volatile. And the reason why they are non-volatile is that the data stored on them are permanent in nature. So they're non-volatile. So it simply means that no matter if there is a power failure on the laptop, your informations. I mean, let me give you a literal example. And of course, I'm not expecting you to write this, but when you store your music, your videos, your photos, and you turn off your laptop or for some reason, or your desktop, right? You, you're using a desktop. Let's use that. And there's a power failure. Do you lose your photos in your photo folder? No, it's there. Literally, it's there. So they're non-volatile, and it's permanent. Okay, so it's not like it's temporary. It stays on for a bit with running programs. No, permanent storage. How many marks is there? So we know when to do others. 4 marks. Okay, so the next one is it has a large storage because it can store large amount, and it is a secondary storage. Now let's talk about others, shall we? So others here, for others, it can be removable. Remember, it is called what? A backing storage, right? Can be removable. Okay, it can be fixed, it can be removable. Okay. Okay, I think that's literally what I can think of. If you have anything else, let me know in the comment section. Right? All right. It's 4, I give 5. So give me credit, right? Okay. All right. So question 6. A dialog-based interface. So this is still chapter 1 because it is a type of user interface. Other interface are your graphical user interface, command line interface, and we have the gesture-based interface. It can be used to program a satellite navigation device in a vehicle. Discuss the benefits of and drawbacks of using a dialogue-based interface in this scenario. So essentially, when we talk about the dialogue-based, we're simply saying that it uses the human voice to give command to a computer system. I mean, should I write it down? Yeah. Okay. I'm going to write it down. Okay, it's fine. Dialogue. Yeah, I spelled it. Yeah. Dialogue-based User interface uses the human voice to give commands to a computer system. This is why Ajiro Tech is so special, because we don't just solve a past paper. If I don't teach you, what's my game? Right? Okay. All right. I see the smile. You're welcome. Okay, so this is important. Okay, this is really important. So it uses the human voice to give command to a computer system. Okay, and of course it can be used to it's used where there's voice activation to control devices in cars, in satellite navigation system, by by speaking certain commands, and it does something. Okay, so let's talk about the benefits. So let's talk about the benefits. Okay, so for the benefit, we see that distraction free interface. Okay, you're not being distracted. You just say, "Hey Siri." Okay, so I'm careful because of my iPhone, so it doesn't say yes. Okay, right, or Amazon, or yeah, and Alexa and stuff like that, and it does that. Okay, so distraction free interface. Um, it has a simpler system for the drivers. A simpler system for the driver. And why is it a simpler system for the driver? Because there's no need for a driver to take their hands off the steering wheels. Okay. It also speeds up the entry of data. How many marks is this? So we can, this is 6 marks. Okay, so it allows hands free control. Okay, let's talk about drawbacks. And for drawbacks, one of the issues we have is it is still unreliable, with many commands not being recognized or needing to be repeated severally, right? Especially if there's a background noise. So background noise can affect the data entry. Background noise can affect the data entry. The user needs to know which commands can be used. So it means that they need to be trained. And may, okay, I think I've said enough. Others. Let's talk about others. Others may have a limited number of commands Okay. Another thing that the commands need to be spoken clearly. Okay. Okay. I think that's fair enough. Describe the processes and output that are used in an expert system. Now, you see this in chapter 6, ICT application, and you see this in expert system, which is like 6.8. So, it's important for us to understand that when we talk about the expert system, right, it simply means that we are getting information from experts. So it's a system that stores these informations from the world of these experts. Okay, and it has a sequel to this. It has a sequel to this. So let me explain it, beginning from the user interface to the inference engine, explanation system. It has the knowledge base, and again the rule base. That is just what it is. So it's an expert system that is developed to mimic. Can I write it here? Permit me to write this here. Expert system have been developed to mimic the expertise and knowledge of an expert in a particular field. Okay, in a particular field. So let's talk about the processes that takes place. Now, when you look at the expert system generally, you see that we have the user interface and we have the inference engine, right? So the processes that takes place, the processes here, when we look at the processes, which is the process? The process here becomes the inference engine and the knowledge base. Now, the inference engine, which is like a search engine, searches the user's answers. The knowledge base is search using the rule base. Okay. All right. So for the output, I'll just probably talk about one because it's three marks, right? And then we can look at others. So for output, we have the explanation system. Okay. So the explanation explanation system explaining how the solution was found. Okay. For others, quickly, I can just probably put this. For others, we have the question is displayed on the screen. Okay. All right. Let's talk about the B part. Write three examples of expert system. Okay. So let's talk about examples. So I have prospective for oils and minerals. Medical diagnosis. We have strategy games. All right. For others, we have the route, scheduling, for delivering vehicles. Okay. We have for tax and financial planning. Okay. Okay. I think I've said enough. Okay. If you have more to talk about, say it in the comment section. I've tried. Okay. I've tried. All right. All right. Question 8. Let's look at question 8 together, shall we? Phablet computers can be used rather than smartphones. So the whole idea of Phablet is phablets are a hybrid that has the functionalities of a smartphone and tablet. Okay. So they can be used rather than a smartphone. Discuss the advantage of using a phablet rather than a smartphone. The difference between a phablet, smartphone, and tablet is the sizes. Please take note. Is what the sizes. And where are my manners? Sorry. You will see this in chapter 1. Types and components of computer system. And you see them as under the types of computers. So we have desktop computers and mobile computers, literally. And under the mobile computers, we have laptops, tablets, phablet, smartphone, right? So let's talk about the advantages. Advantages. Okay. So in terms of larger screen, the phablet has a larger screen. Remember I talked about sizes. So larger screens, therefore, data is easier to see. It has A larger screen therefore allows many user to view the screen at the same time. Larger on screen keyboard making data entry easier. Okay, so can we add one more? It also has larger on screen keyboard means making data entry easier means less typing errors. Okay. Um, Disadvantages. Let's talk about disadvantages. Okay, so let's see. I've talked about four. How many marks is this? 6 marks. I've talked about four. Okay. So I'll probably talk about two and others. Is that fine? Okay. So disadvantages of using a phablet. A smartphone can be used with one hand, but the phablet you have to use two hands, right? The Pro Max, the Plus, mm, okay, even the base also is also the base model, but the mini are smartphones. Okay, a phablet can be used with one hand, but when it comes to um, the phablet, it has what a larger footprint. When we talk about the larger footprint, is we're talking about the physical size of the device. It means that the phablet has the bigger screen and body compared to your standard smartphones, right? So that's what it means. A phablet computer has a larger footprint. Okay, so I think I've covered. I think I can just. Do we have others here? I think I just have only one, and then I can close. We can also say larger in size than a smartphone, making it cumbersome, making it more cumbersome. Right, making it more cumbersome. Okay. Um. Okay. I think that's fine. Let's look at the next one. A lot, and you're like, okay, do you have a private tuition? Don't you have? Do you have? And yes, Ajiro Tech do have a private tuition. So by my right, you can see that we have for the EdXL and Cambridge IGCSE, and yes, we do have for all subjects. Okay, all subjects. Okay, the popular ones that's always been in demand is mathematics, English language as a second language. Okay, we have physics, we have biology, we have chemistry, and we have um, you know the flagship, which is ICT, just here and there. We also have business studies. So if you're interested for a private tuition, um, I think all you have to do is send an email to the sales team at ajirotech@gmail.com, and they would reply to you, talk about your time zone, talk about, and the fees really quite affordable. Really, it's really quite affordable. It's when you look at it across um, other tutoring service, I think this is the one that's quite affordable, and you get the very best of service. We also have for the E levels as well, um, and also for the EdXL. So we have for the Cambridge E levels and EdXL E levels. Okay, and we have also across the subject mathematics, which is usually the hot cake when it comes to E level, mathematics and chemistry, and then biology. These are usually one of the ones we have in demand always, all the time. Even physics, for E level. So all you have to do, if you're watching this right now and you are interested for um, a private tuition, then you can do yourself a solid, okay, and send an email to the sales team at agile@gmail.com, and they'll reply to you. And the good news about this is what I've discussed with the sales team is we've tried as much as possible to see how we can subsidize the amount according to countries, so it doesn't really look very, very heavy. Okay, so this is really important. Yes, we do charge in pounds, but again, we try to be as much as possible considerate to your countries, and we don't just skyrocket the price. No, because at the end of the day, we know how it feels, and we really want you to actually get the best of service, and again, be able to afford it from the comfort of your home. So again, Agile Tech private tuition is currently ongoing. You can enroll yourself for the IGCSE, and then for the E levels. Again, for the IGCSEs, these are the subjects, and for the E levels, these are also the subjects. So again, what are you waiting for? Just send an email to the system. If you're an IGCSE student preparing for IGCSE, if you're watching this in 2025, when this is in 2026, when this is 2027, we're currently ongoing, and this is actually a good time for you to actually explore, and then get it tailored to your own needs. So trust me, you don't want to miss out. A router can be used to connect network and devices to the internet. And this is true because we'll see this in chapter 4, networks and the effects of using them. Very important, networks and the effects of using them. That's what it is. Okay, so let's look at this. So a router is used to route data packet from one network to another. That's literally what it is. So identify the other two operations of a router. So what modern routers do is that they combine the function of a router and a switch. So it means it can store um, the MAC address and the IP addresses. Okay, so they can also route data packets. So let's talk about that. So let's have this route data packets, storing computer addresses. Okay, so we have this. Explain how a router connects devices to the internet. So this is where you have to pay attention, right? So I will just probably explain. So the whole idea is the computers are connected to the switch to the routers, from the switch to the switch goes to server, and then from the switch to the router, from the router to the internet. Okay, so that is just the base explanation for it. Okay, so let's look at this. So this simply means that here a router connects to a modem using an Ethernet cable. Okay, the router receives data packets from the internet. And transmits data packets to the internet. The data packet contains an IP address. Okay, so it contains an IP address. Okay, so literally this is the whole process. So it connects it to the model using an Ethernet cable, receives data packet from the internet, transmit data packet to the internet, contains an IP address. It can route it. Okay, I think I could just probably just add this. We're just explaining the whole process. So it can route it. It contains the router reads reads the data packet. The router reads the destination IP addresses. Okay. And it also stores IP address in its routing table. So this is like the whole process in which it goes through. Okay. It's like the whole process in which it goes through. So I talked about that this is chapter 4, networks and the effects of using them. Question 10. An electronic token is used as an authentication method. Explain what is meant by an electronic token. Now, students, they always find this kind of question very challenging because we have other authentication methods, and you will see this in chapter 4. Chapter 4, which is networks and the effects of using them. So let's explain what it means. So again, I talked about the fact that we have other authentication methods. We have zero login, we have biometrics, magnetic stripe, smart cards, physical token, and then we have the electronic token. Okay, so let's talk about what it is. So for the electronic token, explain what is meant by electronic token. So I think this is a good time. It is a software installed. So it's a piece of software. So essentially, it's a software installed on a user device, such as a smartphone. Okay, you see that? And the whole idea for this is, suppose the user wishes to log on to a website using their tablet computers. The website requires electronic token to be used to authenticate the user to prove who they are. The user has already installed the electronic token app on their smartphone. When the website requests the user to authenticate who they are, the user opens the app on their smartphone. This app generates a one-time password which is valid for less than a minute. The user enters this OTP when prompted by the website together with some other forms of authentication like PIN, Touch IDs, or Face IDs. Right? Now, we don't talk about products in ICT, but permit you to talk about them. You probably heard about um, Google Authentication or Authenticator, right? We also have the Microsoft Authenticator as well. So there are various kinds of authenticator that falls under the electronic token. So it is a piece of software. It's also a token sent to the user after the login. It can help to authorize access to a network. It provides an extra security layer. Okay, so as simple as that. Let's talk about the B part. The data on a computer system can be protected by antivirus softwares and anti-malware softwares. Describe the features of antivirus. Okay, so let's talk about anti-malware software, and we'll see this in chapter 4. Again, chapter 4, not chapter 8, please, chapter 4, networks and the effects of using them. You see them under the anti-malware software. So describe the features of antivirus software, right? Um, I've written some things, and for some reason it wasn't recording, so I just had to just um, yeah. So we see that it protects the computer against viruses. That's the first one I wrote here. The antivirus has a database of known viruses. So this simply means that um, for every antivirus, they have a database that stores, and every time you ask to update, the database is being updated as well. It prevents malicious script from running to ensure that there's nothing running in the background that would infect your devices. It also alerts the user that a virus is found and is being used as a security method. I talked about describe the features of antimalware software, and I said for safety, and you can see this in chapter 8, which is safety and security. Mentioned of this is in chapter 4 as well, which is networks and the effects of using them. But you get more detailed understanding when you make a reference to chapter 8, safety and security. And we're looking at um, um, the security aspect of it, the security of data to be more precise. And I was saying something that it wasn't recording, so I'll probably just repeat it again. And I said that when it comes to the malware, malware is one of the biggest risks to the integrity and security of data on a computer system, right? Many applications such as antivirus or anti-malware are capable of identifying and removing these forms of malware. So let's talk about the features of the malware. Let's talk about it. Okay. So one of the features here is it protects against malware. The other one is it uses heuristic based detection. So it carries out a heuristic check. Okay. The other one is it is also seen as a security method. Let's talk about others. Okay. It also contains a database of code. It removes the malware. Okay. All right. Whew. I think this particular question 10 has been an issue because my mic was recording, it wasn't recording, and I was just probably talking and talking, and it wasn't. So yeah. Question 11. Let's look at question 11. The secretary of a club writes a monthly newspaper which is sent out to its member. She's considering producing an e-publication of the newsletter. State four characteristics of e-publication. We're going to see this under communications, and we would see it in chapter 6, ICT application. Okay, so let's talk about the e-publication. We talk about e-publication, it simply means electronic publications. It simply means that these are materials that are available in an electronic format. So what are the characteristics of e-publication? So the e-publication can be ebooks, digital magazines, digital newspapers, and digital libraries. So let's look at this. So what are the characteristics of e-publication? You see that because it's available in electronic format, and this is why it's different from your physical newspaper or your physical magazines, is the fact that it can now have embedded multimedias. Can use embedded multimedia. Readers can interact with the e-publication. And not only that, the system can read the e-publication to the user. We can also have sections of the newsletter that are hyperlink that can be hyperlinked. And if I'm to do one others, it can auto change of pages. Okay, let's look at the next one. Give two other uses of e-publications. They said what? The first one is what? E-newsletters, right? Monthly newsletters. Okay, so let's look at the next one. Other use of e-publication. We have e-books. Okay. We have digital magazines. For others, we have digital libraries. Okay. All right. Think we've touched that enough. Okay. Let's look at 12. Analysis includes identifying the hardware and software requirement of a new system. Describe other tasks involved in analysis. And we're going to see this in chapter 7, the systems lifecycle. Chapter 7, the systems lifecycle. So let's describe other. One of them said, now this is what we talk about the process in analyzing the current system. They said it identify the hardwares and software requirement of a new system. Describe other tasks. So what are the processes in the analysis? The first one we look at is research the current system. Let me mark this. This is 4 marks. Okay, so let's look at this. So this means we can research the current system, identification of inputs and outputs. And identify hardware and software requirement. We can also see what processes takes place. What processes takes place. We can also see problem with the current system. If I'm to do others, for others, we would see user requirement for the new system. We'll see what are the information requirements. Okay. Let's look at the B part. Identification of hardware and software requirement form part of the system specification. Explain what is meant by system specification, and which is actually good because when we talk about system specification, it is important because system analyst turns that information and user requirement into a functional system specification. That is how the system will be developed and implemented, including timescales. Okay, so when we talk about the system specification, we're talking about um, more or less like the DFD, talking about data flow diagram. We're talking about other information gathering processes that can allow the system, the system analyst to identify the hardware and software that is needed in the new system. That simply means you are identifying and justifying the hardwares to be used. You are identifying which outputs are needed. You are identifying the softwares. See that, right? And also the storage requirements. That's what we mean by system specification. Okay, so this is what we mean. So here we have you're stating the performance requirement of the system. You're specifying the security requirement of systems. Specifying, yeah. You're also specifying, that's what it means, the overall functions of the system. If I'm to do for others, it is used in the production of the system. Specification document. It's also used in describing the configuration for the system. Okay. All right. I think we've touched on this. And by the way, this is chapter 7, the systems life cycle. After analysis of the system, the file and data structures are designed. So we're looking at the design phase. State three elements that needs to be designed as part of the file and data structure. As part of the file and data structure. So what are the things that needs to be designed? Again, this is chapter 7. Okay, so the systems life cycle. Okay, so let's look at it. State two element that needs to be designed as part of the file and data structure. So this section that we're talking about is how the files will be structured. It is also necessary to consider the data types being stored in the file. So that's the first one, data types. It's important for us to know that a file is made up of numbers of records, and each record is broken up into fields. One of the fields must be unique, which would act as what? A primary key. So yes, primary key. This allows each record to be uniquely identified. Uniquely identified. So this is important. We said, and each record is broken up into fields. So that's the field names. Okay, so we have the field name. It is important to know that each field in the record needs to be totally defined as follows. So we have the field name, the data type, field length is also part of it. So this will be my orders. Okay. We've talked about the primary key. It's also important to talk about the foreign key as well. Okay. So there we have it. We've come to the end of this. We've come to the end of this video. It's been very interesting. We've seen questions on chapter 7. We've seen question on, this is chapter 6, please. This is also chapter 6. So ICT application. Okay. So it's important that I always put them into the right place. ICT applications, because they are different places we apply them. This as well is also chapter 6. ICT applications. Okay, so let's do that. So chapter 6, chapter 8, chapter 4, chapter 4 again, chapter 4. This is also chapter 4, which is networks and the effects of using them. Okay. Okay. We've seen questions from chapter 1. I think we saw questions on chapter 1 a lot. This is also chapter 6 as well. Right? This is chapter 6. ICT application. This is also, this is chapter 1. Chapter 1, types and components of computer system. Okay, so this is chapter 1. This is chapter 1, chapter 1, chapter 1, chapter 1. This is chapter 11, chapter 10, chapter 9. I think so. Basically, every chapter, for apart from chapter 3, storage devices and media, and chapter 2, input and output devices, because we saw majorly coming in from chapter 1. Everything was just here. And yes, chapter 5. I think so. What was missing was chapter 2, chapter 3, and chapter 5 that was missing in this variant. But I think all in all, it's been a very interesting paper, and trust me, hope you learned a lot, because again, I'm not just solving the past paper, I'm also teaching you, because your paper 1 is 40% of your total mark, so you really don't want to joke with it. Okay, so please do well to share this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.